Okay, appreciate you showing up in the proper work attire, Will. It is,
right.
Bench Warmer Brew, baby. Benchwarmerbrew.com. Buy my fucking coffee. Buy it. Oh, hey, this is the That's Good Broncos podcast. I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys. It's Combine Week. All the little juicy nuggets are coming out. We're going to talk about what that means for the Broncos. Anything big happening? Not really. We're just learning that football coaches see what we see, and the Broncos do need a quarterback. George Paton wants to upgrade the quarterback if he can. They're talking to the rookies. So we'll divulge what we've learned from the couple days so far the Broncos have had at the Combine, which is weird because we have access to George Paton here in Denver, Nathaniel Hackett, but all of Denver media is now in Indianapolis and still just talking to all of the Broncos coaches. So it's a long way to travel to have to talk to those guys, but I respect the DNVR crew being down there, putting up videos. They got the PHNX crew down there too. So moving up in the world, and use code DNVR when you sign up over at DraftKings. Damn it, I hit the wrong button. DraftKings Sportsbook, a sponsor of this show. Will, welcome. I'll shut up now. There it is.
There we go.
How are you?
I'm well. I get a little jealous watching people who get to travel to the Combine, to be honest. Looks like so a lot of fun. I've always wanted to visit Indianapolis and just Indiana in general. So
yeah,
hopefully that happens for us one day. I'd also, I love the idea of traveling to an event that is televised and for everybody. For everybody to see, no matter where they are.
See, when I see everybody there, I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to go to that shit. Thank God YouTube.
But you get to ask questions.
I have no desire to ask questions because
me neither.
Like when it comes down to it, I'm never gonna ask a good question. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try to think of something funny, and it's going to, one of two things are going to happen. I might get a great soundbite of a great response, but more likely than not, I would be the guy everybody else points to as the idiot you should not be asking the questions you should not ask. And it wouldn't be intentional. It's not like I wouldn't be trying to do anything shocking but like the natural order of my being, I would want to get a glimpse of, which of these quarterbacks might be able to fuck around and make a joke with me. Like, that's all I want to know. And I don't think any of them are. I don't think any of them are funny.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't seem like the most gregarious. Malik Willis actually seemed like he was pretty Malik Willis and Carson Strong were making a few jokes.
Nice.
Who knows? Sam Howell was shooting basketballs with the Eagles. Kenny Pickett was like an hour and a half late to his own interview because they're
his small hands couldn't drive a car there.
Yeah, because they're too busy trying to measure his tiny hands.
Wheel. My hands are too small.
He has to wear gloves to drive a car. to hold like a cup of coffee, he's got to put on QB gloves.
Where's my coffee gloves? My doorknob opening gloves. What did his hands measure? Like 8? They're under 9 inches, right?
I think they're like 8 1/4 maybe. And I measured my own hands too.
Same size hands as me.
Yeah, I've got I don't feel like I have big hands, and I'm like an inch bigger than Pickett, which is concerning because like sometimes I have problems gripping a football.
Yeah, see, you're a big guy, so your hands are like, to me, they look normal size. But for as big as you are, you kind of have small hands.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. In proportion to my head, especially, it's not,
Yeah, you got a huge head. It looks even bigger with your beard.
Yeah, I remember when I was trying on helmets in high school football, and they just had to find the biggest one.
Yeah, we already been through the story where I had to wait 2 weeks for them to get the small helmets shipped back in.
If only we could combine our heads to make one normal head.
It cost me a start opening week of the season too.
Did it really?
Yeah, because they didn't know like I could play football because I couldn't hit for 2 weeks because I didn't have a helmet. I had to sit on the sideline with another undersized fellow who was, probably one of the most unathletic kids on the team. So I think they just like lumped us together as like,
Why didn't they just like take some like packing peanuts and put it, like tape it to your head?
Yeah. I had a helmet at home. They're like, you can't use your own helmet. I'm like, fuck.
It's kind of
I was at a new school. It was a new school, new state. I didn't know anybody. It was a tough time for me back in 7th grade.
Backwards ass Kansas.
Yeah.
You're the original Antonio Brown, essentially.
Yeah. Give me a helmet that meets my demands. I drink it up.
I don't know why he turned into Daniel Plainview.
Hey, like when I did my Antonio Brown impression, I was like, that kind of sounds like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Give me the blood, Lord. All right.
Did you watch Power of the Dog yet?
Yeah, most of it. I don't know. It didn't really hit me.
Well, you got to finish it. That's the whole thing.
Whatever.
It's like it is to me. It's like I've wanted to talk to you about it. We're not going to get into it, but it's kind of like There Will Be Blood meets Brokeback Mountain, and like There Will Be Blood. If you don't finish it, you're not going to appreciate the movie at all.
Okay, I will sit down and I will give it my full attention.
I just start where you left off, and then you'll be like, "Oh, I see what they're doing."
No, I gotta start from the beginning. I've got a bunch of Oscar movies to catch up on. Yeah. Kimmy was good though.
It took me 2 sittings, but that's just because I'm a dad, and I was like, I don't know where they're going with this. And then you're like, oh, okay, all right. Where are we gonna start with football shit? Kenny Pickett,
I don't know, man.
Is just gonna play without hands this year.
Yeah, he's just gonna play with hooks. I think he's gonna just throw the ball with hooks.
Yeah. Check it out. The hook arm QB.
Yeah. All right. So let's start here. So there's been a bunch of mock drafts recently. I mean, there's like 1,700 mock drafts every day, I assume.
Yeah.
But some of the more reputable mock drafters have a few names that have come up with the Broncos pretty frequently. So I think one of the more interesting ones I've heard, because we've got Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett. Those aren't really a surprise. Best available tackle makes sense. It's a good tackle draft. And then you got Florida State edge rusher Jermaine Johnson. That makes sense. It's a position in need. But the one that really interested me was Cincinnati cornerback Ahmad Sauce Gardner. How do you feel about that?
And you said corner to be corner defense.
Corner.
Man, I love me some corners, and I love having the 9th pick in the draft. And I don't think I would love taking corners at number 9 in back-to-back drafts when your number one need is quarterback.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, fuck. 2 shutdown corners would be pretty sick for the defense. Assuming, 1, the Broncos already got their quarterback in free agency, which they're not going to have the 9th pick if they do. So that's out the window.
Right.
Or 2, they know they can get Carson Strong in the 2nd round.
Which is very plausible.
I think teams, it feels like there's a outside chance you could get him in the 2nd round. They need a corner based on Bryce Callahan. We talked about it last episode. He's probably, they got to make a decision on him. Yeah. Fuller's gone. What do you got? OJ Mudia. Don't know how he's going to fill in that role.
Ronald Darby.
Darby's there.
Pretty valuable signing last year.
Yeah. But people are high on Sauce Gardner, so they kind of look at him like the Pat Surtain of this draft. You had 2 lockdown corners. That is huge for your defense, especially when you're facing Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Derek Carr every year. But it doesn't matter if you don't get your QB, Will. It doesn't matter.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I do kind of – you're playing with fire here a little bit. If you really, really need a quarterback and you're saying we're just going to wait till the draft to do it, there's going to be someone left in the second round when you pick. Might not be your guy, though. But the way this draft is shaping up, who knows who is whose guy. And I think every team is going to have a different hierarchy of quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
So the fog is really starting to settle in terms of like no one knows who the first overall pick is. It's insane. No.
The Jaguars are listening to trade offers for it too.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to get any. Well, they said they're open for business.
I don't know why they would. Like, it doesn't make sense. I'm sure they want to trade. The more a team wants to trade out of the first pick, the lesser chance there is that they are going to find a partner. That's the thing.
Because it means there's not a consensus number one guy.
Right. Unless there was a quarterback, like a number one quarterback this year, then it would be easy. Yeah. But obviously
that's exactly like what I was writing in for tomorrow's episode is when you don't have a consensus number one pick, you don't really have a consensus number one player because outside of quarterback, your premier positions are tackle, edge rusher, and corner, mate, right? But corners, like nobody's going to take a corner number one overall. So it's really edge rusher, tackle. And if you have your QB and you can take a tackle number one, that's fine. But nobody's going to really trade up to get a tackle. I don't think
in a really deep class where there's not one guy who's clearly ahead of the rest.
And there's 2 really good edge rushers in this draft in Hutchinson and Thibodeau, right? So you don't need to trade to number one to get your edge rusher because there's a chance the other guy you like might be there. So the Jags they got to take whoever they think is the best player available. So when it makes it weird when there's not a QB, but for the Broncos and what they need, they're actually it's a better situation. Because there's a chance whoever they want for quarterback is available by 9. And I think they should take whoever that guy is.
I think
if you're reaching by a round and you get your franchise quarterback,
doesn't matter.
You're going to look like a fucking genius later.
And you get the 5th round or the 5th year option as well, which is important for a quarterback.
Like, I don't understand how you could not take a QB there and you're the Broncos. Assuming you don't get assuming you don't make a move from free agency.
Right. I think the only other option would be to
trade back.
Take your guy. You could do that, but I'm thinking like take a premier kind of guy at 9. Like say you want Sauce Gardner at 9th overall.
Well, if we got one of our best named players at number 1 first round pick,
that's good business for us.
That's good business for us.
I like that. And then here's the thing. You package those Von Miller picks, maybe even your first round pick next year, move back into the first round, take a quarterback.
Boom.
What's wrong with
that? I don't
that?
even know if you have to give up your first rounder next year to get back.
Yeah, maybe not.
In at the top.
They've got so many picks this year that it's they've got a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. Like
they're very fluid, cash fluid, whatever, economics.
Yes. Trade fluid. Look, if their top guy is Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or Matt Corral, those are kind of like the 3 you see cycled in as the number 1 QB prospect in the draft. Then you take that guy at 9 because if they're available, because I think one of those guys are going to go before 9, honestly. Like, why wouldn't the Giants take one of those guys with their 2 top 10 picks? The Giants would be stupid to not take a quarterback as well. But what was I going to say?
Maybe they're stupid though. I don't know.
Yeah. But if your top guy is say Carson Strong or Desmond Ridder, I don't think those guys are going to go first. You know what I mean? For one or two necessarily.
Or Howell.
So one of the, or Sam Howell, who said Hackett's cool or some shit. You could probably get one of those guys at the top or the very end of the first, or move up in the second to take your quarterback. Kind of like what they did when they got Drew Lock, right? Like they traded up and they picked Reisner and Lock back to back. Could be the same. They traded up in the second round last year to get Javonte Williams. So like the formula to do it's there. So I think they kind of got to wait and see what happens in front of them to determine what they'll do in terms of how they're going to pursue their quarterback. And then, of course, they have to like one of those guys like Strong or Ritter.
Yeah.
And they've said nothing about Carson Strong, the Broncos. Okay? They haven't really been asked about him either. But
that's why we need to be there.
Yes. Based on the way that Hackett and Paton talked about what they prioritize in their quarterback, the first thing they both said is toughness. And I think you could easily make the argument in this draft, Carson Strong's best quality over those other guys right now, I would say, is toughness. He played through a knee injury all year long.
I think, I mean, I can't find a guy who's not pretty tough in this draft class. Like you got Matt Corral, who played in a bowl game that he didn't need to and got hurt as a result. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the other guys enough, but yeah, Strong's definitely there. You can look at these two sound bites like in a couple of directions because toughness, obviously, the first one that came to me was Strong. But so, all right, let's read what Hackett
give
said
me the quote
and what he wants out of a quarterback. So someone asked him and he said, I think when you look at a quarterback, my job is to fit the system to him. I like that. I like to hear that. Every quarterback's different. Every guy plays different. You can look across the league and there's under center offenses, spread offenses. The idea is to figure out what those guys do and what they're comfortable in and kind of always make them feel uncomfortable too, because you want them to grow and do other things that can possibly get into their menu of things that they can do. That was kind of a weird sentence, but I get it. At the same time, when it's crunch time and they feel like they need a little help, you have to help them do what they do best. So I like the fact that a lot of people were asking like, what quarterback fits the Hackett system? And I don't think there's an answer because I think Hackett will fit the system to whichever guy he likes best.
Yeah. That's why
a good way to coach.
It's
a really
good
way to coach.
Opposite of what we've been given before.
Yeah. The Pat Shurmur experience proves that.
Yes.
And then George Paton was asked the same thing, and he gave some more specific answers. So he said, I think height, as we've learned, there's some quarterbacks that aren't over 6 feet who are dynamic. Maybe opening the door for a Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray trade. I don't know.
Yeah. And apparently Russell Wilson news, Pete Carroll has listened to trade offers for Russell Wilson.
He hasn't just heard them. He's listened to them.
He's listened to them, and then he said, we're not trading him.
Liar.
So that's different from what the Packers are now saying, which is nobody's calling us about an Aaron Rodgers trade.
Yeah.
Which a week ago it was, we're not picking up the phone for an Aaron Rodgers trade.
Right. So maybe they just took their phone off the hook.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, guys. We forgot to put the phone back on.
Yeah,
Shit,
I guess
so many. Look at all these voicemails for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron, we're sorry. We didn't know somebody wanted you. We just didn't know.
The Packers seem like they conduct business with a landline.
Yeah. Oh,
I imagine Green Bay, Wisconsin still uses landlines in general.
I think when they're serious about a trade, it's just Morse code. Like,
yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Or beep, 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 but give us Mason Crosby. No, nobody wants Mason Crosby right now.
All right, where the hell were we? Okay. Yeah, so height, not important to George Paton.
Different from the previous GM.
That was what a lot of people took from that. Interesting. So when I first got into the league, everyone wanted a 6'5" quarterback, right? who could really throw it. Didn't matter if they moved. Well, the league's changed. Agreed.
Yeah. Is Sam Howell kind of the shorter, more mobile QB, or what's his size?
He's a little more compact. He's sturdy. He's definitely sturdy. I'm going to look it up, but I'm guessing he is around 6'1".
6'1".
6'1". He's like Baker Mayfield
size. Mayfield size, but with a little meat on the bones.
Yeah, I mean, he is just like a Baker Mayfield clone in a lot of ways, except he's a better runner. Maybe not the same passer. But he just kind of looks like him too. He's got this very similar face. I don't know in terms of like acting chops. Hard to tell.
Yeah. Baker's comfortable in front of a camera. That's for sure.
He is. Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing is like people are going to listen or read to these comments and they're going to try to extrapolate something from them.
They're going to try to fit it to the guy they want.
Yeah. That's what here's what I took from this, and this is not a very satisfying answer, but every quarterback is on the table. There is one mold. Well, there's not like one guy that they're interested in. I mean, he didn't rule out a 6'5" quarterback who can't move. He's just saying that the league has shifted, right? Yeah.
Well, and I think what we're kind of learning about George Paton is he's not going to tip his hat. Right?
No,
he's not going to let us know what he's going to do.
Very well.
It felt like John Elway let everybody know what his plans were. And
he was not he's not very good at concealing secrets.
No, it's why we knew Fangio had the job. It's why we knew Vance Joseph had the job. It's why we knew Kubiak was going to get the job. Like John Fox, like all these guys. We knew the Broncos were super high on Paxton Lynch, and everybody like, who the hell is Paxton
they knew.
Lynch?
There were reports that they liked Paxton Lynch in the middle of the 2015 season while they were in a Super Bowl run. They're like, it leaked that they talked to Paxton Lynch's high school coaches.
Yeah. Always like, tell everybody we like this guy. I don't care who knows. I don't care.
I think, a little more like subterfuge is good. Yeah. And I like that.
And here's
doesn't tip his hand.
No. Is it tip your hand or tip your hat? What the fuck is it? I don't know.
Well, you tip your hat to someone who does something well.
Yeah, it's poker.
Tip your hand is poker.
God, I'm stupid. Okay, here's my takeaway. Because I heard both Paton and Hackett on video give their own answers, what they look for in the quarterbacks. They both said toughness, number one. They both said the mental capacity to handle the game. Hackett went into a little more detail, but they want a smart quarterback. So toughness, smarts, accuracy. That they're on the same page, right? They're talking about evaluating quarterbacks in the same way. I think that's a positive sign. Now, Hackett went on to say, and if he's athletic, that's a nice bonus to have, basically.
Agreed.
So I think it's interesting that they're talking about those things, and they're talking about the quarterback position. I think that in a little bit different way than we're used to hearing. Like saying toughness is the most important thing for your quarterback. Like I don't recall that being like a lot of scouts or teams like number one priority. It's usually like accuracy, the arm talent, something like that.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, this is a team that acquired Teddy Bridgewater last year. Who's probably one of the tougher quarterbacks we've seen in the last like 15 years.
And they put accuracy third because I think like they look at accuracy. Obviously, you don't want a guy who's super inaccurate at the college level. I think that's a red flag. But I think as a coach, you look at we can coach accuracy. We can get a guy throwing better, right? Like you can't teach toughness, and a quarterback can learn the game and get better at it. But if you find a guy who can already grasp and process a playbook and all of that, complicated facets of the game, then you kind of have a leg up in the process. And the way they were talking about some of these things, I was like, man, if they were drafting when Josh Allen was available, he would have been their guy.
Probably.
Like, toughness, Accuracy being third most important. But I think you really nailed it in that they're considering all of these guys. And I think they believe they're going to have a few guys that, well, of course they would consider them all, but I think they're like,
no, yeah,
they're actually figuring out how each of these guys can fit into their system, and they're not eliminating guys just by like, nah, he won't fit with what we want to do. He won't fit. But I feel like Paton did that last year, but this year they know they need to upgrade the QB position, and I think the pressure of that decision is Paton understands that now.
Yeah, I mean, he put it at like a 1 out of 10. He put it at a 10. He's on high alert for the quarterback position, which is like an interesting. That was kind of like almost like a gotcha question, because like, what are you going to say other than like, yeah, it is the most important thing. It's a 10, because you sound stupid if you're like, I don't know, it's like a 6 or a 7.
But yeah, you could spin it like, hey, we got 2 good quarterbacks on the roster. I'm not going to give a number to that, but
yeah, but if someone has a gun to your head, which I imagine was not the case, and said like you had to say a number, yeah, of course you're going to say 10, but that also kind of alienates the quarterbacks on the roster. But then you also go and say like, yeah, we like Drew Lock too, but clearly that he's, it's not going to happen with either of these quarterbacks. One thing about like accuracy that you mentioned, it is weird how like growing up, I always heard people say like you can't teach accuracy, and I feel like that's like the dumbest thing, like one of the dumbest platitudes that people used to say, because Josh Allen has kind of proven that wrong.
I think, yeah, I get what the point is there. Some guys are like, there's Tim Tebow, and I don't think you could teach him accuracy. But I think that's because he was a tragically flawed passer. Josh Allen had, junior season that was really good, and he was accurate, and then his senior season, highly inaccurate, and then that carried through to the NFL and then progressively got better. So I think you can teach accuracy to somebody who has special arm talent. If you're looking at a guy who's inaccurate and doesn't have an impressive arm, then I think like you need to be able to identify that person just might not be cut out to be an NFL passer.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think
it's more like you can correct accuracy,
but you correct accuracy based on like correcting like footwork and timing too. It's like,
yes,
it is the result of a lot of other small things, which
100%.
To say like you can't fix accuracy is saying like you can't fix footwork, which you can.
Yes.
But obviously no one was going to make an accurate quarterback out of Paxton Lynch.
No.
Or Tim Tebow.
No. Who's a really wildly inaccurate QB? I mean, even like fucking Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a very accurate short mid-range passer. And then just deep ball, he's 50-50, man.
Maybe he'll hit a perfect deep ball. Maybe he'll overthrow Emmanuel Sanders at the most crucial point of the Super Bowl. Anyway, he's on the trade block.
He's on the trade block. We're going to do more of the trade block here after I tell you about the block that is this legal disclaimer from DraftKings Sportsbook. Check it out. DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of, can you guess who it is, Will?
Oh, man. No, I can't.
UF. Can you guess now?
UFSL?
C. Oh, I knew I could get you. It's the UFC fights. Punching people in the freaking face. This weekend, when Covington and Masvidal step into the octagon Saturday, UFC 272, you can bet just $1 if you're a new customer on the main event and get $100 in free bets no matter what happens. Could be a knockout in the first round, a majority draw, or double knockout, resulting in a no contest. No matter the outcome, you get paid. And if sportsbooks aren't available in your state, everyone can enter a free pool with $10,000 in prizes. Answer a handful of questions like how long will the fight last? Who will walk out a winner? And follow along and track your results. Just use code DNVR when you sign up and bet $1 on the fight UFC 272. And you can win $100 in free bets. Also, DraftKings, official partner with the NBA, so you can do some b-ball bettings if you like. Just use code DNVR. Got to be 21 or older, Colorado only, new customers only, minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. 4700. That was not clear. Okay. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. Carson Strong, not an option. Everybody knows you love him, which means everybody knows I love him because you love him. So just take Carson Strong off the table here, Will. You can choose your next quarterback as Mitch, kissing titties, Trubisky, Jimmy Garoppolo, Carson Wentz, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis. You can have one of those guys, or you can even double down. You could take one, a free agent, and draft one.
Okay, I think the number one priority for me would be Corral.
Okay.
And that lines up with our buddy Tim Jenkins, too.
Yeah, where did he finally list Ridder? Because he was pretty high on Ridder.
Him yet.
He's working on it.
Yeah. So Ridder, interesting to me. I thought it was useful information that he said he has the most like NFL relatable offense at Cincinnati,
right,
that he's working from. And guys like Matt Corral don't. But again, like you got a guy like Hackett who's going to adapt the offense to a person's skill set. I think Corral, I wouldn't be upset with Matt Corral at all. I think he has got a really, really high upside. Hard to say I'd be upset with Malik Willis too, but if you get Willis, you definitely need that contingency plan in a guy like Trubisky or even Wentz. Because and I'd pick Trubisky over Wentz if I was going to power rank the two.
Yes,
because
I would.
Wentz just seems like just a total cancer in the locker room, considering that those have been the reports for the last 4 years in two venues now.
Oh, did
Philly and Indy?
The locker room didn't like him in Indy?
Well, he doesn't get along with the coaches. It doesn't sound like he gets along with his teammates very well.
Interesting.
He was just kind of a distraction all year in Indy.
Wow.
With the whole COVID thing. It's a little goofy, but when you have two different teams wanting to trade you in the span of 10 months, probably a red flag.
I'd honestly take Jared Goff over Carson Wentz.
I think I would too.
Easy.
Not on the table.
I'm so off of Wentz. Off. And that was just because he pissed me off by playing like ass at the end of the Colts season. And I wanted
that kind of tells you everything you need to know about him.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like puts up great good looking stats, but you knew watching him play, like that's not who he is.
Yeah.
And you saw a bunch of dropped interceptions and narrowly avoided turnovers.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's coming. Those are going to come back to haunt him at some point, and it does in the most critical point of the season.
Yeah. He's like Kirk Cousins without the really impressive stats.
Yeah, it's just mildly impressive stats.
Yeah. I agree. I would take Trubisky. I would be happy if the Broncos made a play for Trubisky, because as you learn tomorrow, we think he's probably going to be the best quarterback available, because I think Rodgers is going to go back to Green Bay. I think Russell Wilson is going to go back to Seattle. And so in terms of actual available quarterbacks, he might be the best. and he might be the best in terms of fit with Hackett. And before, like, we even started hearing Trubisky's name in this super positive sort of light, I was thinking that Trubisky would be a good fit with the Browns because I think he can run their offense just as effectively, if not better than Baker Mayfield, because I think he's actually a little more athletic than Baker. And then when Brian Dable went to the Giants, I was like, he would make sense there, although you could argue Daniel Jones, just as athletic as Trubisky, probably a little bit better of an arm. Has the fumbling issue, also turnover problems. Trubisky threw picks, but he was
I never
safe
thought
with the
Trubisky
football.
was as bad as people made him out to be.
Yeah, he's not a turnover machine. So if I think he would be an improvement for the Giants or the Browns or hell, even the Steelers, Mike Tomlin wants like a mobile athletic quarterback. Trubisky kind of fits that. It's like, why wouldn't he be a decent fit for the Broncos? So I kind of got to the Broncos based by like thinking Trubisky would be good fits for other teams. And now that we have Hackett, that a guy I trust to develop and get the best out of a quarterback, I think that makes sense for Trubisky. But for the rookies, if it's not Carson Strong, then Corral or Willis excite me just because Willis, I think there's that upside there, right? Super athletic. Corral, I think most people are kind of leaning towards him as the most dynamic QB. Pickett's still up there at number one because people say he's the most NFL ready, but he's the guy that excites me the least. And again, I'm not a college football expert, but what little I've watched of him, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, NFL ready, like ready for what?
Yeah.
Like ready to start day one? That's not like the measure of the best quarterback.
No.
Is it? Like it just means your ceiling's not, you got a high floor, low ceiling, and the Broncos are shooting for a guy with a high ceiling.
Yeah.
Like that's why you draft quarterbacks in the first round.
Yeah.
You can go out and free agency and get a guy with a low ceiling, high floor.
Yeah. You can get
That's
Jimmy
not
G.
who
You can get
yeah.
Trubisky, Wentz, fucking who else is available there? I don't know. Teams don't let really good QBs go. But I would take Russell Wilson if that's real. If the Seahawks are actually listening to trades, then I think maybe there's something there.
I might be interested.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was looking at, because for Trubisky, I was looking at touchdown percentages, and he had the same touchdown percentages as Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, and we think of those guys as great.
Good
and then
point.
I look at Aaron Rodgers' touchdown percentage. It was like 7. Russell Wilson's at 7. And then Aaron Rodgers' 2020 MVP season, like a 9-point-something touchdown percentage. That's just based on passes, right? So it's not every play. You could factor in touchdown percentage for their rushing too. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, the narrative has shifted. Matt Nagy was the coach of the year in 2018. And he is now like the worst coach who's ever coached.
Yeah.
But if you want to roll with that narrative that he's really bad coach, I think the truth is somewhere in between. But if you really hate him, look at Mitch Trubisky's numbers under Matt Nagy. First of all, the record 11-3, 8-7, 6-3 in 3 years. I know that's not like the end all be all, but 24 touchdowns, 12 picks, 7.5 yards per attempt in 2018, second year. If not for Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes being taken in the first round behind him, I think we would think about Mitch Trubisky a lot differently.
Yeah, I agree.
Because as it stands, like his 2018 season was one of the best quarterback seasons in Bears history.
Yeah.
Which is not the highest bar, but
no.
I think that says something.
No, and even his 20 last season, 2020, when he didn't, like, there was a bunch of games he didn't play because they had the Nick Foles experiment, right?
Right.
But when they switched to him late in the season, he started playing better and got him into the postseason. And he was doing it without really good receiving weapons in Chicago, right? You have one good receiver. That's basically it. Tight end. Criticizing the offensive line, consistent run game. Like, he was doing more with less. And yeah, so the narrative has changed. Going to Buffalo helped him. He played a really great preseason game. But like, I don't know if the Broncos are interested in him.
Yeah, there's no indication.
But a team's going to make a play for him. And I think we're going to get a fair – he's going to go to a better team, too, than he was with the Bears, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, because he's going to be able to pick his spot, too. He's going to have some options. Like, hell, he could go to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And play with a really talented
roster. I don't know if he's
there.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's the best fit for Bruce Arians, but yeah, Tampa Bay could go after him. Like we said, Pittsburgh. What was the other fucking team?
I said the Eagles as kind of a dark horse.
Interesting.
Seems like this is a team that just interviewed Sam Howell too, so I think they are always looking to upgrade at quarterback, even if they don't.
Cleveland, you got the Commanders in there. Commanders are going to be in the QB market.
Commanders. Still getting used to the Commanders.
So stupid.
Oh, Noah Fant, 5th-year option.
Oh, yeah. They have yet to put the 5th-year option on Noah Fant. He would be the candidate for it. George Paton said they like what Fant does. They want him to be in Denver for a long time. They just haven't made the decision on that yet.
I think with Hackett, what excites me about Noah Fant in a new offense is seeing what Robert Tonyan did in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Hackett got Tonyan like wide open a lot.
Yeah.
And if you can do that with
got him a 10
Bobby
touchdown
Tonyan,
season, right?
Yeah. And well, we can attribute some of that to Aaron Rodgers, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Noah Fant he will explode with either the Broncos or someone else. But I feel like he is like a 10 touchdown, 900-yard season waiting to happen with somebody.
Yeah.
Just like Jerry Jeudy is.
If he's not, I feel like Albert O also is that waiting.
Yeah. Let's just, I mean, I think the only position really off the board for the Broncos is probably tight end.
Yeah, they don't need to draft a tight end. And it's a super deep
and in free agency
class. Because even
really
Kyle Rudolph's going to be if George Paton was going to go after a tight end, I bet Kyle Rudolph would be on his radar as a former Viking. But
I mean, he might not. That's kind of interesting because if he was cheap and you could get him as a primarily a blocker, that'd be interesting. You're going to let Eric Saubert go maybe, but at the same time, yeah. You might want Saubert a little cheaper.
It's like Well, here's what's crazy too. Like, I saw a tweet today. I think maybe it's Pro Football Network, saying that the Broncos are a team interested in Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I don't believe that unless Aaron Rodgers is part of that package.
Yeah. If Aaron Rodgers is part of that package or Russell Wilson, and part of getting one of those quarterbacks is trading Jerry Jeudy away, right? Like,
I suppose, yeah. I've always been against that idea in principle, though.
Like, why would the Broncos be interested in Devontae Adams when they gave new contracts to Sutton, Tim Patrick, have Jeudy coming back it'll be his 3rd year, have KJ Hamler, who will be back from a knee injury, plus 2 pass-catching tight ends in Albert O and Noah Fant. Obviously, I would welcome Devontae Adams to the Broncos.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's real. Like,
I don't think it's the number one priority.
The report was that the Broncos and a couple teams were putting together like offers for him. And I just don't know if I could see that as being accurate, because there's the 2 positions I don't think they need are receiver and tight end.
Yeah.
You could draft a running back. You can draft offensive line. You can draft defensive line, edge, linebacker. They're going to bring back Josie Jewell. That's a top priority. You can draft corner, and hell, you can draft safety. The two positions I don't see them drafting, receiver, tight end, which means I don't see them going after either position in free agency unless you said Aaron Rodgers, the final piece.
Then you just make Aaron Rodgers happy, which seems to be more difficult than we all thought.
If you got Devontae Adams and you're trading, would you rather trade Judy or Sutton if you have Adams?
Sutton, because Judy's cheaper right now, and he's got the 5th-year option waiting.
And I think Adams kind of can do what Sutton does as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you have Patrick who can do what Sutton does.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's a good example.
Adams and Judy are a little more similar. Adams definitely more polished and more, obviously more productive, to say the least.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got another few days of combine action. We'll get all of the hand size measurements coming in.
That's going to be a whole video. It's just reading hand size measurements.
Yeah. This year, of course, NFL teams are no longer allowed to measure penis size, so we won't have updates on that. That's new.
That was part of the collective bargaining agreement in 2020.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
It's what's holding up that Major League Baseball as well.
Yeah.
So, sorry you're not going to get baseball, Will.
We'll get baseball eventually. Right?
You're going to lose some games, which baseball can spare.
Baseball's got a few games to spare, I'd say.
I think
you're right.
Thank you guys for listening to another dumb podcast of ours. You can download the podcasts. You can watch on YouTube. You can follow Will on Twitter at Guillermo Yaves. Other than that, I just want to say good night.
And John Elway played his entire career without an ACL.
And good luck to ever believing we will change this ending of the podcast.